Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to our Tuesday, Thursday coffee date, reading through the book, A Time to Dance, Chasing Joy in Difficult Seasons. Today we are reading chapter 22, which is Have Faith, Stay the Course. This chapter is about, just remembering who guided you to it, who's going to get you through it, who's going to be there with you through it all, who's going to hold your hand, who's going to get you to the other side, even when we can't see the way. So this is a really cool chapter that we're going to deep dive into. But thank you for being here for our Tuesday, Thursday coffee date. In case you guys are wondering why my coffee mug says hop, it's because this side says hip. So hip, hop. So hip hop. Hope you guys have been having an amazing week. We had a women's ministry night here last night. It was beautiful. It was so beautiful. So I'm very excited for what God is doing. I really believe that, it's been the season of his kingdom daughters lately. Like, it has been a powerful season of calling up his daughters and speaking truth into them and loving on them. And I'm super excited about the season we're in. And I hope you're feeling a stir in your spirit, because God is calling up his army of daughters, and we're each going to have different places that we step into. But I hope you're feeling that stir. And later today, I'm going to share the message with you guys on my Facebook channel that I shared with the ladies last night, the message that God placed on my spirit. But I also recorded a podcast episode. So if you're more of like a podcast person, I'll have it uploaded to my podcast later today. And if you are more of a video person, I will have the message uploaded on my Facebook page today. And I encourage you guys to listen to it, because it is possessing your identity as daughter of the King. And it may not be what you think. Like, it's not just another message about who you are. It's about how to get it from here to here. And the Holy Spirit really laid on my heart that was the gap that we struggle with a lot, is we know who we are as daughter of the King, but how do we get it in here? How do we get it as part of our identity? How do we get it where we're not striving for it, but we live from it? And so it's a really powerful message. It's only about it's less than 20 minutes long. If you listen to the podcast episode, I think that went to about 23 minutes, but that's just because there was like a real quick introduction. So anyways, all that said, stay tuned to my Facebook channel today, because I'm going to upload all of that and get that on there. I did want to ask you guys, for those of you that watch this, we are getting close to the end of this book. There are 27 chapters. We're on chapter number 22 today. So we're going to get to a point where we're going to finish the book. And I want to continue doing these lives with you, but I want to make them more like interactive, like Q&A. We talk about things like that. So if you can drop your ideas in the comments for things that you would like for us to discuss. I've seen other individuals read through like chapters in the Bible. That's an option. I've seen people, I can't do other books because that's copyright. Like, the only reason I can do this book, A Time to Dance, Chasing Joy in Difficult Seasons, is because this is my book. But outside of that, it would be a copyright issue. But if you guys can think of something that you'd really enjoy doing in this space, let me know, and we will continue doing these going forward through the rest of the year, because I really enjoy sitting in this space with you ladies. Even if you're watching it on recap and just dropping comments or dropping a heart emoji here and there, even if you're just doing that, I see those and I appreciate them, and they encourage me, and I hope that I'm doing the same for you, that I'm reaching through this and encouraging you as well. Okay, so all that said, we are going to dive into chapter 22. Have faith and stay the course. I've ran a few spiritual marathons in my personal life. I'm sure most of you on the other end of this have ran a few spiritual marathons in your lifetime. But it's with my husband's blessing that I share the story of this very personal marathon. A few years ago, my husband traveled through a season of very painful mourning. And our little family struggled, deeply, deeply struggled. Grief and trauma are very, very difficult roads. As many of you know, the depression, confusion, and anger overwhelmed him in waves until he felt completely consumed by it. Though we tried so hard to be there for him, we quickly found ourselves mourning our own loss the loss of him. You see, he was physically still there, but emotionally he felt hollow, and the ripple effect on our family was painfully substantial and scary. This beautiful husband of mine remained a strong, hardworking, and dedicated professional by day, but at home, he was struggling to hold it all together. We were struggling to hold it all together, and make no mistake, the enemy knew it too. My best friend of 20 years quickly found himself in the biggest spiritual fight of his life, one that would change our family forever, and I felt completely powerless to help or control the outcome. As I reflect back on that time in our lives, my heart still squeezes with emotions. I spent a year on my knees, a year feeling completely alone and absolutely terrified. I cried, I screamed, I begged God, I prayed over and over again as I watched my husband towing the edge of a cliff, all while I felt tethered. I felt he was tethered to the people he loved most, us. Where he went, we went. But despite the growing panic in my heart and my desperate attempts to reach him, the words that poured out of me and the tears that so often fell without warning, they had absolutely no power. He simply and painfully just could not see us. A marathon season for sure, but Jesus. Not a day goes by that I don't thank God for his faithfulness during that incredibly difficult season and for the grace and love that he poured into our journey of healing that followed. You see, our path to healing did not look the same, but God met both of us right where we were, and he healed us individually. And all of that is to say this: even if your situation or your miracle doesn't look the same, he can heal you too. And he will love you and hold you through it, whatever it is that you are facing. Your healing and your future are safe in his hands. Look to him first above all else and let him be your guide. The beautiful and life-giving truth that I learned in the middle of all that pain was that God is always at work, even when I cannot see it. He can and will reach into our lives in a moment of pain, pour through us, and heal our hearts. That our healing and our journey with him is not dependent on anyone else's road to healing or actions, but it is a very personal and intimate journey that exists between my heart and his, and that no matter what the next chapter brings, he will reweave our painful seasons into something that blesses us. So before we dive deeper into this chapter, I'd like to pause for just a moment and say this: no matter what marathon you face or the outcome, he is in it. He is with you, and he will faithfully bring you through. Of all the marathons that I've encountered in my life, I think my least challenging was the actual 26.2 miles that I ran at the 2014 Little Rock Marathon. Hang with me here for a second, because there's a beautiful lesson in this story that I just had to share right here in this chapter. If you happen to be familiar with the Little Rock Marathon, you know this particular year by heart. A powerful storm moved in, complete with dramatic temperature drops, sleet, extreme cold temps, and freezing winds. As we made our way past mile marker 18 on the course, we were informed that they had shut down the race. Shuttles and buses were soon lining the roads, escorting runners back to the finish line. Race volunteers held signs along the path that read, "Large hail coming, seek shelter, event canceled." With tears in my eyes, I turned to my husband, an avid runner who had lovingly agreed to run my first marathon with me, and I asked him, "Do you mind if we continue on?" I doubted there would be a medal. Hi, Miss Annie. I doubted there would be a medal. Probably not any spectators or finish line photos. Maybe not even a true finish line. But I couldn't give up hope that there had to be something for my heart waiting at the end of this race. To better explain my emotions that day, my decision to run a marathon came after our 4th round of fertility treatment and an extremely heartbreaking miscarriage. I wasn't sure if my heart could take any more pain or disappointment, and I needed to be able to believe in something. So I fixed my focus on a goal that I wanted so badly to accomplish, and the journey became about so much more than the 26.2 miles or the medal. It was about healing. It was about restoration and hope. And as the elements around me raged that day, threatening to take me out of the race, I knew deep down that I needed to survive this storm. My heart needed me to make it through. And as I reflect back on the only physical marathon that I have ever ran, still to this day, I'm realizing the parallels between what my husband and I encountered on that road and the marathons that we so often run in our spiritual lives. Maybe you're in the middle of your own storm and God is calling your name. Maybe you aren't sure whether to turn back or press on. Maybe it hurts, really, really hurts. But if you pause, close your eyes and listen, you'll hear his voice. He's reminding you of his promises. He's reminding you of his love. And he's reminding you that he will never leave you and he will always see you through. And friends, here is what he so beautifully reminded me of that day. When it seems like you are in pain and trudging through the hard, while everyone else is joyfully reaching the finish line, have faith and stay the course. When voices tell you to turn back, the storm is too big, the promise is gone, nothing is waiting for you at the finish line. Have faith, stay the course. When the enemy tells you that you can't do this, you're not made for this, you don't have what it takes, have faith, stay the course. When it's so tempting to take the shuttle back to the start because your heart's broken, you've worked so hard and it feels like nothing is going right, have faith, stay the course. Because you see, my husband and I did reach that finish line in 2014. And as we approached the big welcoming arch, I realized there were no spectators left. There were no crowds cheering us on. There were no high fives to congratulate us on making it through. But there was a finish line complete with the promised medal. And more than that, there was healing. Following our marathon, my husband and I went on to have another heartbreak, a second failed IVF, before we were blessed with our beautiful miracle baby in 2015. The truth is, sometimes when we are running the course of healing and the storms are building all around us, threatening to take us out of the race, the only thing we have to hold on to is his promise. But in those moments, keep your eyes fixed on him. The journey may be difficult. It may not look like anybody else's. You may be struggling to lift your feet and keep going. The enemy may be trying to tell you that you are not going to make it. But my friends, remember this. But Jesus, but God. Run towards your healing. Run towards your joy and your hope in him. Run towards his voice and his promises. Have faith. Trust him. He loves you too much to watch you turn back. Rest in his arms when you need it. And when you are ready, stand up and run your race again. Stay the course. Keep going. Keep the faith, because God is with you and he promises that you will not fail. Philippians 1:6. Many of you may know this by heart through the Passion Translation. I pray with great faith for you because I'm fully convinced that the one who began this gracious work in you will faithfully continue the promise. So that's chapter 22. I hope it encouraged you today. I hope that you know that you have a God who is always, always with you and for you. That even if you reach that finish line of the race you're running today, the specific one you're on today, even if you reach that line and there is no one there cheering you on, there is no one who notices, there is no one who sees your breakthrough, he does. And he is cheering you on. And in fact, it's not just him, it is all of heaven. All of heaven is cheering you on. All of heaven is lining your path. All of heaven is standing there. And yes, we can't see it with our physical eyes, but if we close our physical eyes and we look through our spiritual eyes, we can see all of heaven cheering us on in our race today. And they will be with you through every step of the process. Speaking of cheering us on in a race, if I could ask you guys a favor, those of you that watched all the way to the end, I have a dear friend of mine, and he's going to be having a procedure next week. And I would just ask that you cover him in prayer. His name is Blaine. And I just ask that you cover him in prayer. Prayer for peace, prayer for comfort, prayer for quick healing, and just prayer for joy and all the beautiful things that God has for him. Just pray that God just sets his mind and his heart at peace. So thank you guys for hanging out with me today. Again, if you're still here, drop me an emoji. Let me know you enjoyed it. Let others know you enjoyed this chapter specifically through your comments, because others do read that and then may go back and decide, hey, this sounds like a chapter that I need to read or listen to. And if this is your first chapter or you've missed a couple of chapters, don't forget, I have a YouTube channel, Shannon Singh Ministries. You can hop out on my YouTube channel. You can catch up on any of them. Facebook only stores them for 30 days. But if you go out to my YouTube channel, Shannon Singh Ministries, and you subscribe, you can actually watch from the very first one all the way through. And we are on chapter 23 next week. We're going to be diving into sitting in God's waiting room. And I know there's not a one of us out there who haven't sat in God's waiting room. And so we are going to talk about sitting in God's waiting room. Hope you guys have a beautiful and blessed weekend. I'm so grateful you are here. I'm grateful for your encouragement. And I will be praying for you this weekend, for you to have a beautiful weekend. And for it to be absolutely littered with God's little fingerprints and love notes for you. Thank you so much. Have